The morning sun poured softly through the tall hospital windows, painting the corridors in a warm, golden light. The hospital was alive with quiet urgency, the kind that came with the start of a new day. Nurses hurried between rooms, checking charts and adjusting IVs, while doctors moved steadily, balancing their steps with the rhythm of urgent decisions and comforting words. Among them was Dr. Ahmed, a doctor known for his skill and compassion. He had seen countless patients over the years, and his calm demeanor often brought reassurance to those who felt anxious. Dr. Ahmed had been in the hospital for many years. He knew the routines, the sounds, and the small details that made the hospital feel both welcoming and overwhelming. That morning, like every other, he began his rounds with a mixture of anticipation and focus. There was a quiet energy in his stride, a sense that he was prepared for whatever challenges the day might bring. He greeted the nurses as he passed, nodding and sharing small smiles that carried reassurance more than words ever could. Somewhere in the hospital, a small camera had been installed in a corridor. It was part of a recent security update, meant to monitor safety and ensure patients and staff were protected. No one seemed to notice it, and certainly Dr. Ahmed had no idea that his every step in that hallway would be quietly recorded. The camera was unassuming, small, tucked into the corner where it would attract no attention, yet it would soon capture a moment that no one could have predicted. Dr. Ahmed approached the first room on his list. A young woman sat nervously on the hospital bed, fidgeting with her hands. Her eyes met his, and there was a mixture of fear and hope that he had seen many times before. He smiled gently, a simple gesture that seemed to carry the weight of his experience and understanding. "Good morning," he said softly. "How are you feeling today?" The woman hesitated before speaking, her voice barely above a whisper. Dr. Ahmed listened intently, nodding occasionally as she explained her symptoms. It was routine in many ways, but for the patient every word mattered. He asked questions, probed gently, and made sure she felt heard. His eyes were kind and his voice steady, the kind of calm that could make even the most anxious patient feel a little safer. After the initial check, he moved closer, examining the chart and reviewing the notes from previous visits. He noticed small details that others might overlook, and he asked about them. Sometimes it was a question about how she was sleeping, or a careful observation about her reactions to certain medications. His attention was thorough, but it was never intrusive. He wanted the patient to feel like she mattered, not just as a case, but as a person. As he spoke, the camera quietly recorded. It captured the way his hands moved with precision, the subtle expressions on his face, and the way he leaned slightly forward, showing engagement and concern. No one watching at the time would have guessed that these small actions, so natural to Dr. Ahmed, would become a source of fascination later. After a few minutes, he began explaining the next steps in her care. He spoke clearly, avoiding complex medical terms, choosing words that anyone could understand. He encouraged questions and answered them patiently, making sure she felt confident and informed. The room felt lighter, the tension easing as the conversation continued. Dr. Ahmed had a way of making complicated things simple, of turning anxiety into understanding. The patient looked at him with gratitude. There was a silent acknowledgement that this doctor cared more than just for her illness. He cared for her as a person. Dr. Ahmed smiled again, a quiet warmth in his expression, and nodded toward the nurse who had been standing by the door. "We'll check on you later, and remember, if anything feels wrong, let us know immediately." He left the room, walking down the corridor with his clipboard in hand. The hospital was still bustling around him, the sounds of beeping machines, hurried footsteps, and distant conversations creating a familiar symphony. Yet there was a rhythm to it that only someone who spent years in such an environment could fully appreciate. Dr. Ahmed moved with purpose, but he also noticed the little things, the gentle pat on a shoulder, a soft word of encouragement, the quick glance that reassured a frightened patient. As he continued his rounds, he encountered a small group of children in the pediatric ward. Their laughter echoed softly through the hallway, and Dr. Ahmed paused for a moment, allowing himself a smile. He knelt down to speak with them, asking how they were feeling and listening to their stories, no matter how small or silly. The camera captured this too, the interaction that was pure and unplanned, a glimpse of the humanity that often went unnoticed in the daily grind of a hospital. The day progressed with its usual mix of emergencies and routine checks. Dr. Ahmed moved from one room to the next, his presence steady and reassuring. Every patient received his full attention, whether it was a quick check on vitals or a longer discussion about treatment options. He never seemed rushed, despite the demands of the hospital, and his dedication was evident in every action. In the staff room, he briefly stopped to sip his coffee. A nurse approached with a question about a patient's medication, and he listened carefully, offering advice and clarification. There was mutual respect, a shared understanding that every decision mattered and that teamwork could save lives. He nodded, smiled, and returned to his rounds, carrying both his clipboard and the quiet weight of responsibility. The hidden camera continued to record, capturing moments that seemed ordinary in the flow of the day. No one knew that later, these moments would reveal something unexpected. The subtle gestures, the expressions, and the unscripted interactions would combine to tell a story that no one anticipated. By midday, Dr. Ahmed entered a consultation room with a middle-aged man who had been waiting for some time. The man looked tired and worried, his eyes betraying concern. Dr. Ahmed greeted him warmly and began the examination, asking questions and listening intently. He noticed the small details, the way the man hesitated, the tone of his voice, the slight tension in his shoulders. Each observation helped him form a clearer understanding of the situation, guiding the care he would provide. As the consultation progressed, Dr. Ahmed made a small, unexpected gesture. He offered reassurance in a way that was not typical, a personal touch that went beyond routine medical advice. The man's eyes softened, relief washing over his face, and Dr. Ahmed continued with professionalism, never letting the moment lose its sincerity. The camera recorded everything silently, an unnoticed witness to a moment that was both ordinary and extraordinary. By the time he left the room, the corridor seemed to stretch endlessly, a place of constant movement and unseen stories. Dr. Ahmed paused briefly to adjust his notes. Unaware that every step he took had been quietly captured, the staff around him continued their work, unaware of the small camera that had watched him all morning, recording details that no one yet understood. As the morning turned to afternoon, there was a sense of calm amidst the constant activity. Dr. Ahmed continued his rounds, interacting with patients, staff, and visitors alike. Each moment was filled with small acts of care, gestures that spoke louder than words, and interactions that would later surprise everyone who viewed the footage. The hidden camera, unobserved and unnoticed, continued to record, silently documenting a day that seemed ordinary, but was about to become anything but. By the time he returned to the nurse's station, Dr. Ahmed paused, reflecting briefly on the day so far. He checked his schedule, made notes, and prepared for the next patient. There was a quiet determination in his demeanor, a balance of confidence and humility. He had no idea that within hours a simple, candid moment recorded by the unseen camera would shock the entire hospital. The camera, small and hidden, remained in its corner, a silent observer of the day's events. Dr. Ahmed, unaware of its presence, continued his work with focus and compassion. Every gesture, every word, every glance was recorded, ready to tell a story that no one anticipated. And as the hospital continued its steady rhythm, there was an unspoken sense that something remarkable had already begun, waiting quietly to be discovered. Even as he moved through the halls, checking charts and speaking to colleagues, Dr. Ahmed remained oblivious to the fact that a simple act, a candid moment, and his natural care for his patients had been captured in its entirety. The stage was set, and the story that would shock everyone was quietly unfolding, one step at a time in the heart of the hospital. Dr. Ahmed moved into the next room, where an elderly man was waiting. The man looked fragile and slightly anxious, gripping the edge of his hospital gown. Dr. Ahmed greeted him gently and asked how he was feeling. The man hesitated, then shared that he had been experiencing sharp chest pains over the past few days. Dr. Ahmed listened carefully, nodding as he made mental notes. He examined the man, taking every precaution, checking vitals, and observing the subtle signs of discomfort. The camera in the corridor silently recorded his every move, capturing gestures that seemed small but carried weight. Dr. Ahmed adjusted the man's position on the bed, gently speaking to reassure him. The patient's eyes softened as he realized the doctor was not just performing a routine check, but genuinely concerned for his well-being. There was a natural warmth in Dr. Ahmed's manner, that could calm even the most anxious patients. As the consultation continued, Dr. Ahmed noticed something unusual in the man's behavior. There was a nervous hesitation, a slight tremble in his hands, and a distant look in his eyes. Dr. Ahmed leaned forward slightly, maintaining eye contact. He spoke softly, encouraging the man to be honest about his feelings. "I need to understand exactly what you're feeling," Dr. Ahmed said. "Nothing you tell me will surprise me. We will handle this together." The elderly man hesitated but eventually opened up, sharing a fear he had been holding back. It wasn't just physical pain. He was worried about a recent diagnosis, something that scared him deeply. Dr. Ahmed listened, nodding, letting the man speak without interruption. His calm demeanor allowed the patient to express fears that had been hidden for weeks. Then, in a small but unexpected gesture, Dr. Ahmed placed his hand on the man's shoulder. It was not grand or dramatic, but it was enough to convey empathy and reassurance. The camera caught this moment perfectly. To anyone who saw the footage later, it would be a simple act of kindness, but in that moment, it was profound. The man relaxed slightly, a sense of relief washing over him. Dr. Ahmed continued his examination, explaining what steps they would take next. He used words that were clear and easy to understand, avoiding medical jargon that could confuse or alarm. Every sentence was measured, every gesture thoughtful. It was routine for Dr. Ahmed, but for the patient it was transformative. After completing the checkup, Dr. Ahmed made a plan for follow-up tests and treatment. He reassured the patient that he was in good hands and that the team would support him throughout the process. The man thanked him quietly, and Dr. Ahmed smiled, a soft and genuine expression before leaving the room. Walking down the corridor, Dr. Ahmed passed by the hospital cafeteria. A nurse waved to him, holding a tray with medications that needed to be delivered. He nodded and continued, his mind focused on the next patient. The camera in the corridor kept rolling, capturing the rhythm of his day, the quiet dedication that defined his work. Next, Dr. Ahmed entered a room where a young mother sat with her child. The child had been admitted for a minor injury, but was frightened by the unfamiliar environment. Dr. Ahmed crouched down to the child's level, speaking softly and using humor to lighten the mood. The child began to smile, slowly relaxing as Dr. Ahmed explained the treatment in a friendly and gentle way. The mother watched, relieved as her child responded positively. The camera recorded this interaction, showing Dr. Ahmed's ability to connect with patients of all ages. He then spoke with the mother, discussing the child's care plan, what to expect over the next few days, and ways to make recovery smoother. He encouraged her to ask questions, patiently answering each one. She nodded, clearly comforted by his attention and clarity. Dr. Ahmed's focus was unwavering. He made sure that both mother and child felt safe and informed. As he exited the room, he encountered a small group of hospital volunteers setting up for a charity event. Dr. Ahmed stopped briefly, asking how things were going and offering a few words of encouragement. His presence was reassuring, and his genuine interest made everyone feel appreciated. Even in brief interactions, his care for the people around him was evident. The camera captured these moments too, small gestures that reflected his consistent humanity. By early afternoon, Dr. Ahmed had seen several more patients, each with unique concerns and needs. Some were routine checkups, others more urgent cases. He navigated each situation with patience and skill, taking time to understand not only the medical issues but also the emotional state of the patients. The camera, unnoticed by everyone, recorded the subtleties of his interactions, the quiet professionalism mixed with authentic kindness. During one consultation, a teenage boy was admitted with a broken arm. The boy was nervous, avoiding eye contact and fidgeting. Dr. Ahmed knelt beside him, explaining the procedure step by step, using clear and simple language. He encouraged the boy to ask questions and reassured him that he would be carefully monitored throughout the treatment. The boy's shoulders relaxed and he began to trust the doctor. This small victory, a moment of connection, was quietly documented by the hidden camera. Later, Dr. Ahmed attended to a patient in critical condition. Nurses and assistants worked alongside him efficiently, following his directions. Every move was precise, yet he remained calm, providing reassurance to the patient and support to the staff. The camera recorded the tension and focus, capturing a blend of professionalism and empathy that defined his approach. After the critical case, Dr. Ahmed returned to his office briefly to review charts and make notes. He paused to take a deep breath, reflecting on the morning and preparing mentally for the rest of the day. His dedication was apparent, but he carried it lightly, never letting stress show to his patients. The camera, still unnoticed, captured him in a quiet moment, reviewing his responsibilities with meticulous care. The afternoon brought more routine visits. One patient, a middle-aged woman, seemed anxious about upcoming tests. Dr. Ahmed sat with her, explaining the procedures, and gently reassured her. He noticed her worries, addressed each one thoughtfully, and offered encouragement that calmed her nerves. The camera recorded the interaction, preserving every subtle expression and gesture. As the day continued, Dr. Ahmed walked through the corridors, passing patients, visitors, and staff. Everyone greeted him warmly, reflecting the respect he had earned over years of consistent care. Yet he remained humble, focused on his work rather than personal recognition. The camera kept rolling, capturing the rhythm of his day, the human connections that were so easily overlooked but so deeply meaningful. By late afternoon, he returned to the pediatric ward. One of the children he had checked in the morning had improved significantly. The child ran to greet him, and Dr. Ahmed crouched to return the gesture, smiling warmly. The nurses and staff exchanged glances, appreciating the quiet impact of his care. The camera, still unnoticed, captured these candid moments that would later reveal a side of Dr. Ahmed that no one could have predicted. Finally, he moved toward the last patient of the day. A man in his 50s, recovering from surgery, looked worried about his progress. Dr. Ahmed spoke with him calmly, addressing concerns, reviewing recovery steps, and providing reassurance. He noticed the small details, the way the man shifted uneasily, the slight tension in his voice, and addressed each concern with patience. His dedication, captured by the hidden camera, was becoming a record of genuine human connection and professionalism. The day was long, filled with a mix of routine and urgent cases, yet Dr. Ahmed handled it all with the same unwavering focus and compassion. Every patient left the room feeling seen and cared for. Every staff member witnessed a doctor who embodied both skill and empathy. The camera, unnoticed by anyone, had captured a series of moments that were entirely natural yet extraordinary in their cumulative effect. As he finally walked to the hospital's main entrance for a brief break, Dr. Ahmed paused, taking in the sights and sounds of the hospital. He reflected on the patients he had seen, the moments of connection, the small victories and reassurances that made the day meaningful. Little did he know the camera had recorded these very moments that would soon surprise everyone and reveal a side of his work that went beyond routine care. And as the hidden camera continued its silent observation, it captured one final interaction of the afternoon, a simple, genuine smile exchanged between Dr. Ahmed and a patient's family member. It was a small moment, but it was enough to show the depth of his character, the sincerity of his care, and the unassuming way he impacted those around him. This day, so ordinary in its schedule, had already set the stage for something remarkable that no one, not even Dr. Ahmed himself, could have anticipated. Later that evening, the hospital quieted as the day began to wind down. Most patients had been attended to, routine checks completed, and urgent cases stabilized. Yet the hidden camera in the corridor had recorded hours of footage, capturing Dr. Ahmed's interactions throughout the day. It was a day filled with compassion, attention, and moments of unexpected connection, all of which had gone unnoticed by him. In the hospital's security office, a nurse assigned to monitoring the cameras noticed something unusual. While reviewing the feeds, she saw the footage of Dr. Ahmed interacting with patients. At first, she thought it was just part of routine monitoring. But as she continued watching, she noticed something remarkable. The way he listened, the gestures of reassurance, the small actions that went far beyond what anyone expected. It was more than professionalism, it was genuine humanity. She paused the footage, rewinding certain moments. There was the elderly man with chest pains, whose tense shoulders had relaxed at Dr. Ahmed's gentle touch. There was the young child laughing after being comforted, the mother visibly relieved. Even the critical patient seemed calmer under his watchful care. It was clear to her that the footage was not ordinary. It showed a doctor going above and beyond, not for recognition, but simply because it was his nature. Realizing the significance of what she had seen, she called the hospital administrator. The administrator, curious and slightly skeptical, came to the security office. Together, they reviewed the footage, noting every detail. They watched the interactions with the elderly man, the child, the anxious mother, and the patients in critical condition. Each moment told a story of dedication, patience, and empathy. The administrator could hardly believe what he was seeing. Dr. Ahmed had always been respected, but seeing his work from this perspective revealed an extraordinary depth of care that few had truly appreciated. Word of the footage began to spread quietly among a small circle of trusted staff. Nurses, fellow doctors, and administrators discussed the interactions, amazed at how natural and sincere they appeared. Some felt proud to work alongside such a compassionate doctor, while others were curious how no one had noticed these remarkable gestures before. There was a sense of wonder mixed with a hint of concern. What if Dr. Ahmed discovered the footage before the proper time? How would he feel about being recorded without knowing it? Despite these concerns, the staff continued to share their observations with one another. The footage became a topic of discussion, though carefully contained to avoid rumors. People spoke of his small actions, the moments that seemed ordinary but held profound meaning. They noted the way he leaned forward to listen, the gentle reassurance in his tone, the subtle but effective way he calmed anxious patients. Every moment captured seemed to illuminate a side of Dr. Ahmed that no one had fully recognized before. Meanwhile, Dr. Ahmed continued his duties, completely unaware that the camera had captured the depth of his day. He moved from patient to patient, his focus undivided, each interaction handled with care. He greeted staff warmly, attended to medical needs, and offered support wherever it was required. For him, it was simply another day in the hospital, filled with the usual responsibilities, challenges, and small moments of human connection. Back in the security office, the administrator decided to take a closer look at the footage. They compiled segments showing his interactions with patients and staff, highlighting the genuine empathy and professionalism he displayed. The footage was compelling, not because it captured drama or mistakes, but because it revealed the true nature of a doctor dedicated to his patients' well-being. Every gesture, every word, and every glance spoke of someone who understood the human side of medicine in a way that was rare and inspiring. As the evening continued, more staff were invited to view the footage, carefully selected to maintain discretion. Nurses and doctors who had worked closely with Dr. Ahmed watched, some quietly nodding in recognition, others surprised at just how deeply he connected with his patients. It became clear that the footage was not only impressive but also valuable as a learning tool. It demonstrated how empathy, patience, and attentiveness could transform the experience of patients and create a positive environment for staff as well. One nurse, who had been particularly moved, suggested sharing the footage with the hospital's training department. The idea was met with enthusiasm, though tempered with caution. The goal was not to embarrass or expose Dr. Ahmed, but to show the impact of genuine care. They planned to highlight the moments in a way that emphasized learning, compassion, and professional growth. Meanwhile, rumors of the footage's content began to circulate quietly among staff. The camera, once unnoticed, had captured a day that showcased Dr. Ahmed in a light that was both familiar and completely new. Conversations sparked about how rare it was to see such consistency in empathy and professionalism. Some staff members compared it to their own experiences, reflecting on how even small gestures could make a significant difference in patients' experiences. The administrator considered the next steps carefully. They decided that Dr. Ahmed should be informed eventually, but the timing had to be right. For now, the focus was on reviewing the footage, sharing it discreetly, and understanding the full scope of what had been captured. It was a moment of reflection for the hospital staff, a chance to recognize the extraordinary in what often seemed ordinary. At the same time, the hidden camera continued to stand silently in the corner, unaware of the attention the footage was receiving. Dr. Ahmed's actions were being studied, admired, and discussed, all without his knowledge. The camera had inadvertently created a record that showed the power of authentic human connection in a professional setting. It was proof that genuine care, even in simple gestures, could leave a lasting impression. Later that night, Dr. Ahmed returned to his office to finish paperwork. He was tired but satisfied, reflecting on the day's work. He had interacted with dozens of patients, each with their own unique needs and concerns. He thought about the moments of laughter, the relief on anxious faces, and the small victories that made the long day worthwhile. Little did he know, all these moments had been captured in detail, ready to reveal a side of him that would surprise everyone. Meanwhile, staff continued to review the footage, highlighting examples of remarkable care. They noted how Dr. Ahmed handled unexpected situations with calm, how he reassured patients when fear or pain threatened to overwhelm them, and how his natural empathy created trust and comfort. Every detail, from a gentle touch to a carefully chosen word, was being appreciated in a way that no one had done before. Some staff members suggested using the footage to improve hospital protocols and training. They realized that seeing Dr. Ahmed in action could help others learn how to interact more effectively with patients, how to convey empathy, and how to balance professionalism with humanity. The footage had inadvertently become a teaching tool, showing not just procedures but the heart behind them. As the night deepened, the hospital quieted further. Dr. Ahmed finally left his office, unaware of the discussions his day had sparked. The footage, however, remained in the minds of those who had watched it. They reflected on the day's events, amazed at how a single person's dedication could touch so many lives in subtle but profound ways. The camera had captured a story of kindness, expertise, and human connection, a story that was about to unfold in ways no one expected. The administrator made a note to discuss the situation with Dr. Ahmed soon, wanting to ensure that any sharing of the footage was done respectfully and thoughtfully. The staff continued to appreciate the depth of his care, realizing that sometimes the most powerful moments are the ones that happen quietly without fanfare, and without anyone realizing they are being observed. By the end of the night, the hospital had returned to its calm, steady rhythm. The patients rested, the staff prepared for the next day, and Dr. Ahmed's work, now immortalized on camera, awaited its eventual revelation. What had seemed like an ordinary day had been transformed by the unnoticed presence of a camera, revealing a narrative of compassion, professionalism, and humanity that was far more impactful than anyone could have imagined. The hidden camera, still in its corner, had done what no one expected. It had captured the essence of a doctor's dedication and empathy. The footage was more than just recordings. It was a testament to the power of human care, an insight into moments that often went unseen. And while Dr. Ahmed continued his work the next day unaware of the camera, the seeds of a story that would shock and inspire everyone had already been planted. The day, ordinary to him, had been extraordinary in ways that only time and observation could reveal. The next morning, the hospital was alive with its usual buzz. Dr. Ahmed walked through the corridors, greeting staff and patients with his calm presence. He carried his clipboard and moved with purpose, unaware that the footage from the previous day had already begun to generate quiet discussion among the hospital staff. The video, once carefully reviewed, had been shared with a few senior nurses and administrators, who were still marveling at what it revealed about Dr. Ahmed's dedication and empathy. Some staff members were amazed, others curious, and a few concerned. The footage showed moments that seemed ordinary but carried extraordinary weight. The way he listened, the subtle gestures of reassurance, the calm manner in which he approached patients in distress. These details were now under careful consideration. Discussions arose about how to handle the discovery, whether to share it more widely, how to honor Dr. Ahmed, and most importantly, how to ensure his work was respected rather than misinterpreted. In the nurses' break room, a small group watched selected clips. They laughed softly at a child's reaction to Dr. Ahmed's gentle humor, nodded in recognition at the elderly man's relief, and shared quiet admiration for the way he handled a difficult surgery with both precision and care. There was a collective realization that what the camera had captured was far more than routine professionalism. It was humanity in action. Meanwhile, Dr. Ahmed continued his rounds, completely unaware of the attention he had received. His focus remained on the patients and the staff, moving seamlessly between urgent cases and routine checks. Every conversation, every glance, and every gesture was authentic. He spoke with confidence yet maintained a soft tone that encouraged openness. He comforted nervous patients, guided families and reassured colleagues, demonstrating a balance of authority and empathy that few could replicate. Back in the security office, the administrator and head nurse reviewed the footage again, this time discussing its potential impact. They knew that once Dr. Ahmed became aware of it, his reaction would be important. They considered his personality, his dedication to privacy, and his natural humility. Sharing the footage publicly could have unintended consequences, but keeping it hidden seemed a waste of an opportunity to showcase a rare example of genuine care in a medical setting. They decided to proceed carefully. A plan was made to show Dr. Ahmed selected clips in private, framing it as an appreciation of his work rather than surveillance. The goal was to honor him and perhaps use it as an example for training, highlighting how subtle human gestures could profoundly affect patient experiences. Meanwhile, a rumor of the footage began to circulate quietly among staff. Conversations sparked in hushed tones about the doctor's remarkable actions. Some nurses mentioned moments they had personally witnessed and now realized had been even more significant than they understood at the time. The shared excitement was tempered with respect, as no one wanted to embarrass or pressure Dr. Ahmed. It became a shared secret, a quiet admiration that slowly spread through the hospital. Later that afternoon, Dr. Ahmed entered the pediatrics ward. Children ran up to greet him, laughing and smiling. He bent down to their level, engaging them with a few light-hearted jokes and gentle guidance. Parents watched, feeling reassured by his calm and patient approach. He administered treatments and checks with skill, all the while ensuring each child felt safe and understood. The hidden camera, now part of the story staff had seen, had captured these moments with clarity, emphasizing the natural ease with which he connected with patients of all ages. In another part of the hospital, a meeting was held with the senior staff to decide how to proceed. They discussed not only Dr. Ahmed's impact on patients, but also the morale of the hospital as a whole. Seeing such authentic dedication was inspiring. Many acknowledged that his actions set a standard for professionalism, empathy, and leadership that could influence training programs and staff culture. They wanted to highlight this without causing discomfort or embarrassment for Dr. Ahmed. Meanwhile, Dr. Ahmed moved through the hospital, visiting wards, checking charts, and speaking with nurses about patient concerns. Each step reflected his dedication. He offered advice on treatment plans, encouraged staff to stay focused, and quietly monitored situations without imposing unnecessary authority. He maintained an approachable demeanor, balancing the demands of the hospital with a human touch that made patients feel valued and respected. By the late afternoon, the plan was set. Dr. Ahmed would be shown the footage in a private meeting. The administrator prepared a small room, carefully selecting clips that illustrated not only his professional competence, but also his natural empathy. The focus was on appreciation, showing him the positive impact of his actions rather than making him feel surveilled. The staff involved were mindful of the sensitivity, aware that the doctor's reaction could shape the outcome. Dr. Ahmed, unaware of the preparations, continued with his rounds. He spoke to a patient recovering from surgery, offering encouragement and guidance on recovery. He reassured families who had concerns, listening carefully and responding with patience. The day continued as usual, but for some staff members, it was tinged with anticipation. They were eager to show him what had been captured and see his reaction. Finally, the meeting began. Dr. Ahmed entered the small conference room. Noticing the administrator and a few senior nurses, they welcomed him warmly, explaining that they wanted to show something that highlighted the positive impact of his work. Dr. Ahmed, naturally modest, looked curious but slightly uneasy. The first clip played, showing him comforting the elderly man the day before. His calm voice, gentle touch, and patient listening were clearly evident. As the video continued, showing interactions with children, anxious mothers, and patients in critical conditions, Dr. Ahmed's expression changed. Surprise, then reflection passed across his face. He watched moments that to him had seemed routine, now captured with clarity and significance. He realized that the small gestures he considered normal had a profound impact on others. Staff reactions, patients' expressions, and the subtle kindness he had shown were all magnified on screen. He paused the video, taking a deep breath. "I never realized all these moments mattered this much," he said softly. There was a mixture of humility and awe in his voice. The staff in the room smiled, relieved that he understood the purpose of showing the footage. It was not to embarrass him, but to celebrate and acknowledge his impact. They continued to watch selected clips, highlighting how his actions influenced patient comfort, family reassurance, and staff morale. Dr. Ahmed nodded, occasionally smiling, occasionally reflecting quietly. He began to understand that what he did naturally every day held lessons for everyone around him. The meeting became a moment of shared appreciation, not just for him, but for the culture of care that his example could inspire. After the video ended, he looked around at the staff. "I always thought I was just doing my job," he said. "But seeing this, it shows me how important it is to be fully present with every patient. Thank you for showing me this." There was a sense of quiet pride in the room, a recognition that his work had been valued in a way that went beyond words. Discussions followed about how the footage could be used for training, staff development, and recognition of compassionate care. Dr. Ahmed encouraged that any sharing be done thoughtfully, emphasizing the importance of respecting privacy and maintaining authenticity. The staff agreed, understanding that the true power of the footage lay in teaching empathy and professionalism rather than seeking accolades. The meeting ended with a renewed sense of purpose. Dr. Ahmed returned to his rounds, now aware of the subtle ways his actions influenced patients and staff. His demeanor remained humble, but there was a new confidence, a recognition that even small gestures could have lasting effects. Staff members who had seen the footage quietly acknowledged the change, noting that he seemed even more attuned to patient needs and staff interactions. Throughout the remainder of the day, Dr. Ahmed's interactions reflected a quiet awareness. He continued to comfort, guide, and reassure, but with a deeper understanding of the ripple effect of his presence. The camera had captured his work, but it was his own reflection and the staff's appreciation that amplified its significance. Moments that once seemed ordinary were now recognized as extraordinary, leaving a lasting impression on everyone involved. By evening, the hospital had settled into its calm rhythm. Patients rested, staff prepared for the night shift, and Dr. Ahmed finally had a moment to reflect. He thought about the footage, the reactions of staff, and the simple acts that made the day meaningful. He understood that even in a routine hospital setting, genuine care could transform experiences, build trust, and inspire others. The camera had shown what he had always done naturally, but the acknowledgement made the impact real and undeniable. As he left the hospital, he paused at the main entrance, looking back at the corridors where countless small stories had unfolded. He felt a quiet satisfaction, a sense that the work he did mattered not only in medical terms but also in the way it touched lives. The hospital had recognized it, staff had seen it, and now he had witnessed it too. The day, once ordinary, had been revealed to hold extraordinary moments, all captured and appreciated, leaving a lasting mark on both Dr. Ahmed and the people around him. The following morning, the hospital buzzed as usual, but there was a new sense of energy in the air. Staff who had seen the footage of Dr. Ahmed's work walked a little taller, inspired by what they had witnessed. Patients and their families noticed the difference too, though they didn't know why. The hospital felt warmer, calmer, and more attentive, the kind of environment shaped by the quiet influence of one man's dedication. Dr. Ahmed arrived early, as always, moving through the corridors with a calm determination. The events of the previous day, including his private viewing of the footage, had left him reflective. He realized that the smallest gestures could leave a lasting impression, and that every interaction, even those that seemed routine, had the potential to make a difference in someone's life. He started his rounds in the pediatric ward, greeting children and their families. The children laughed as he made gentle jokes, and parents smiled in relief, sensing the calm authority that he carried. He knelt beside a young boy with a cast on his arm, gently adjusting the sling to make him comfortable. The boy smiled and whispered a thank you, and Dr. Ahmed nodded, feeling quietly proud but remaining humble. It was just another day in the hospital, yet each moment had deeper significance now.